All right, so probably all of you know that smaller classes is one of the few education reforms that have been conclusively linked to better results in all different ways, from test scores to grades, to attendance, to fewer disciplinary problems, to more kids going on to college and beyond. And according to the U.S. Department of Education, it's only one of 3 education reforms that have been proven to work through rigorous evidence. And I might add, nothing that this administration is doing is on that list. Every year, smaller classes are the top priority of parents, even on the DOE's own parent surveys. And in a recent survey, 86% of New York City principals said they were unable to provide a quality education because the classes were too large in their schools. This is a chart I got comparing average class sizes in New York City schools to the rest of the state. It's the most recent data we have on the state website, which is from last year. And you can see that at every grade level, the average class sizes in the rest of the state range from about 19 to 21 on average, whereas we go all the way up to 28 and more. And this doesn't even show the very large classes in many of our high schools and middle schools, which are up to 33 or 34. The teaching load in New York City is much larger than it is in the rest of the country, about twice as high. We did a calculation showing that if teachers were going to just spend 5 extra minutes per week with each of their students on homework or just consultation, it would take a whole extra 37 hours a week, which is a whole second job. The state's highest court in the CFE lawsuit basically said a lot of things, including the fact that our kids were not allowed their constitutional right to an adequate education, in part because of overly large class sizes, and that something has to be done about that. The CFE group brought out expert educators from throughout the state, including Carmen Farina, who later became our deputy chancellor. They decided that for an adequate education in New York City, there should be no more than 14 students per class in elementary grades, 22 and 18 in high school. And those recommendations, along with others, were costed out to provide the basis of how much more money our schools were supposed to receive. In April 2007, Kathy and our other friends in the legislature decided that they were going to fund the settlement for the CFE lawsuit. And they said that we would get several $billions over the lifetime of the program. And in exchange, we were supposed to spend it only on a few programs that were, proven to work. And New York City schools had to reduce class sizes among those programs and had to submit a plan to the state to do that in all grades. After a lot of resistance, I know Joe Klein said to the city council many times that he did not intend to submit such a plan, and Robert, among others, grilled him on that, but they finally were convinced that they did have to submit such a plan. Finally they did, calling for class sizes of no more than 20 in K through 3, which, by the way, was the original promise of Mayor Bloomberg when he first ran for office over 8 years ago. Still hasn't happened. In all other grades, 23, and then that was later amended to 25 on average in high school in core academic classes. What happened in the first year of the program, we got $260 million, with more than $150 million supposed to go to class size reduction, yet the state and other groups found that class sizes went up. In at least half the schools that specifically said they were going to reduce class sizes, and that the state said they had failed to meet any of their targets and they had to institute a corrective action plan. Second year of the program, we got even more money. Instead of reducing class sizes increased in all grades but 4 for the first time in 10 years. In over half of the schools that said they were going to use the money to reduce class sizes went up. And you can see in that chart, this is separated by districts. These are the schools that got the money to reduce class size. You can see there's as many of them above as below the line. Those are the schools where class sizes went up. Below the line is where class sizes went down. No relation to the money whatsoever. This year, this is the third year of the program. What happened? Class sizes went up even more for the largest amount in 11 years, or actually the largest amount since we've been keeping good data. In all grades now, including 4th. Here are the results. This is a chart that shows you what the citywide actual targets are year to year. In the Contracts for Excellence, which is their class size reduction plan, this is what happened last year in grades over the last few years in grades K through 3, 4 through 8, high school. And we actually think the high school numbers are wrong. We actually think it's worse than that, but that's another story. we don't actually believe DOE data on high schools. One of the most disturbing things, a big jump in oversized kindergarten classes. Kindergarten, most people, experts believe, is the most important year to keep class sizes small, and yet you can see that in the last year, the number of kindergarten class students in classes of 25 or more have gone up radically. In Monica's district, in District 11, more than half of all kindergarten students are in classes of 25 or more. In Kathy's district, in 24, it's similar. I think more than half of kindergarten students are now in classes of 25 or more. This is really something very, very bad. In January, we filed a lawsuit with the UFT. Thank you, the UFT, for their support on this issue. They've been really, really very strong on it, and I really appreciate it. Lots of groups entered into this lawsuit, including Class Size Matters and some parent leaders, and I am happy to say that our first court date is on Monday, and you are all invited to come to the Bronx Courthouse to see what happens. Cross your fingers a million times over that we have the same kind of judgment that we did in the closing schools. I'm very nervous about it, but we'll see. What about the need for more space? This is what we're going to be talking about mostly today. The state regulations said, of course you can't reduce class size if there's no space in schools to reduce class size. It's impossible. So we pushed very hard, and they did adopt in the state regulations, and I bet you it happened because Kathy pushed, because they don't listen to me ever. So give Kathy the thing for that as well. That the city's capital plan should be aligned with this class size reduction plan. And Robert knows very well that in testimony, just as of last month, Kathleen Gridham and the head of the SEA spoke, and they said, yes, we're aligning it to our Contracts for Excellence plan. We want to build for 28 in the middle grades and 30 for high school, right? Which is not the Contract for Excellence targets, and they didn't even know that. And so we used that. I used that in my affidavit on the lawsuit to show that they have no intention of reducing class sizes. We have it on the record. They have no intention of building to reduce class sizes. So, about half of all New York City's students already attend overcrowded schools, according to the DOE statistics, which we know totally underestimate the degree of overcrowding. And we think that the new capital plan will provide less than half the seats necessary. We've done a needs assessment. It's not perfect, but believe it or not, it's the only needs assessment that I know of that's ever been done on how many seats we really need in New York City to eliminate overcrowding and reduce class size. And the plan makes no provision for enrollment growth. The enrollment has been gradually dropping through most parts of the city over the last 8 years. Mayor Bloomberg had a perfect opportunity to reduce class size and spend a lot more money on other things, but not on reducing class size. Now enrollment is going up, as we warned, and it's going to get worse. This is some of the data on how many kids attend overcrowded schools, and these estimates assume near maximum class sizes, not the smaller ones. This is just a chart to show you how many seats. Bloomberg always claims to have created the most seats in history. That's totally bogus. If you go back in time, even to the Giuliani administration, you'll see that they built more seats. So the enrollment is going up this year for the first time, they say by 14,000 students, though we haven't gotten a good breakdown of even data from them. We just heard this from the IBO, who said they heard it from DOE. They won't really release the numbers. And we've seen in the last couple of years kindergarten wait lists throughout the city, class sizes going up, the busing of students, the loss of pre-Ks throughout the city, the loss of cluster rooms. All this is going to get worse and worse and worse over the next few years without